Yeah, let's talk about static versus dynamic programming.
Yeah.
And how that relates to
static versus daily. I like to call it daily.
Okay.
Yeah, dynamic's fine too. But
so the daily programming and how that fits, how they fit together.
Yeah, in our system.
Yeah, how they fit together, how they support one another, and what people should know about those. And when we talk about the daily program, that being called our performance program.
Yeah, performance track.
So
for sure.
where do you want to start? You want to start with the performance program?
I'm going to start from high level. So like, if you look at IEP as a company, what this is going to look like is, and this is our recommendations for the flow of you come to our website, Scott, you think, you know what? I need some help, you know. The first thing we're going to recommend is you take an assessment. We assess, we think, okay, where are you good at? Where are you deficient at?
Right.
And where can we help you at?
Right.
From there, you'll be recommended from the assessment we previously talked about on other podcasts. You'll be recommended one of 3 static programs: strength, speed and power, or capacity.
All needs that you're going to have in the law enforcement.
Exactly.
Yes, right.
Static, those are static programs. What that means is they are not directly linked to a calendar. So they are 10 weeks, right?
10 weeks.
10 weeks. So
I've always called them one-off programs. That's what I've heard.
Static. Yeah, we're all a little different, but
yeah,
I'm going to force you to use static now.
Okay, that sounds good.
So what it means...
It's evergreen.
It's evergreen. It's a good example of that. So what it means is Aaron comes to me. Aaron takes the assessment. Aaron finds out that he's not good at capacity. So he gets recommended the capacity program. He has the choice to choose anything he wants. We just provided recommendations. When he decides to jump into the 10-week capacity program, he will automatically join at day 1. So when he purchased the program the next day or whatever, day 1 starts.
Through the next 10 weeks.
For the next 10 weeks.
It's a progressive program that builds on itself every single day, every single week.
Yes, he gets the full effect of the program because he starts on day 1.
Start point and an end point.
Boom.
Yep.
At the end of the 10 weeks, he can obviously redo it if he wants to. I definitely know people that do that. I don't necessarily recommend that. My recommendation is always go try something different, then come back to it if you want. We'll get to where to go at the end, but that's how static works. Static is not linked to a calendar, but it's not necessarily great as a community focus because he's doing this hypothetically by himself. Now, you could start the same day as a buddy and be fine, or 2 days later and be 2 days after him, right? But you're kind of doing it by yourself.
Yep.
That's all the static programs. The pinnacle of what we have, what we're trying to lead, in the previous examples I've used, 100 people come to us, they'll have different deficiencies. We want them all on the same level. The pinnacle is going to be the performance track.
Okay.
And the performance track, which I'll let you define in a second, kind of what you're looking at, but the performance track is, I call a daily program. So what that means is you jump on where everyone else is on, right? And it is an ongoing, whereas the strength, the speed and power, and the capacity is a 10-week program a one-off program that you purchase, you have the whole thing. This performance track is going through, as long as you're a part of it, it'll keep going. And it'll go through different cycles as it keeps going.
So static programs could be looked at as sort of an on-ramp if people understand that term based on their deficiency into the performance program, or they can be used as standalone programs for whatever, if that's just when you want to recycle through.
That's fine too.
Yeah, but they're supportive of one another. And again, it's a suggestion or recommendation. You call it what you want, but a recommendation on, hey, we think you should probably do this first, because when you then land into the performance program,
Feel good.
Yeah, you feel good and you're set at a we'll call a standard level that we have sort of defined. As you get into our programs, you'll see what that is. But you're coming in with everybody else, and that way you're getting the most out of the performance program.
Exactly. So when we do the assessment, we'll have different data points we have from whether previous courses they've ran for speed and power or strength data points. And our goal is to say, okay, well, Scott, when I look at your job description, I'm going to make the assumption that I would like for you as a male to be able to deadlift more than 315 pounds. If you can't, I might, again, these are kind of hypothetical examples, I'm going to recommend you jump on the strength program. Because then when you are able and capable of accomplishing that after a 10-week program, the strength cycle or a strength static program, once you get into the performance track, you're capable of doing everything we throw at you, and you understand, because you're also going to learn a lot of things in the static programs because he's still going to have movement, change of direction drills in all the programs. And then you get the performance track, you're like, you're right. An on-ramp is a great kind of.
Yeah, because you're not. It's good that you just said that. Like again, if you're doing strength, you're also getting capacity and some speed and power.
Yes.
Just the emphasis is the strength again on the deficiency. If that's how you've been assessed. So that's a really good point. So when you're jumping in, it's not like you're, oh God, now I got to be ready for all the capacity and the speed and power.
Yeah, no, we worked your way into it.
No, we've worked you into it, and based on the recommendation, you were probably doing okay there before. We just needed to improve on the strength piece a little bit. So you're carrying that forward. Yeah. And chances are, like if you're jumping into an IEP program, I'm super biased by this based on the guys I'm sitting around and working with, that your speed, your capacity and your speed and power, if you jump into our strength program, is going to maybe be better than anybody else, any other program that you were already doing. That's just my bias. Yeah. But maybe talk about like what are they going to see inside the performance program when they get there? You mentioned ongoing program, daily program. What are they going to see when they get there? How is it organized in compare and contrast to how our other programs?
So the whole program is built around increasing performance for your job, optimal readiness for whatever you may experience, and also career longevity. So you're getting pretty much everything you need that we believe you need for being in law enforcement through this program. You're getting your speed and power, you're getting your strength, you're getting your capacity, your balance, stability, stuff that we've talked about in like the 9 metrics that is required that the NSCA and the TSAC has come up with of like, this is what you need to be proficient at this job. We incorporate all that in the correct amount of dosages, load, intensity, all of that modified to what they're going to do.
Yeah. So I think the big takeaway for me in this performance program is we're gonna help you maintain all of those things with this program. We've figured out how to put it all together and get it all done all the time. So you are either maintaining and or building that, continuing on those things that you just mentioned: right. Strength, speed and power, and the capacity. So you don't have to think about it. The other nice thing about that, this is like the bonus with it, is it will constantly be managed. So we're never giving you too much of anything. And so at some point, it's like maybe unbeknownst to you, because that's what's going into this programming, there may be a slight more emphasis on the strength, or whatever. Yeah. We're certainly going to change up, and this has already been, a lot of it's already been pre-programmed so that we can put it in. But in terms of the planning, we're going to change up the movement patterns. We're going to change up the exercise. Yeah. So it's not just seeing the same thing week after week.
In the previous discussions we had for static programs, right, we had Aaron go through, hey, this is what Monday looks like. This is what Tuesday looks like, right? That's awesome. We can't do that for this program. Why? Because it's always going to be, those are evergreen. This is not, right? This is like, it's growing as we go, right? It changes a little bit, right? And so,
as we learn more, new research comes out, new things we get feedback on, it's going to change. We have a general structure that we're going to stick with, because consistency is a huge thing in any sort of growth, but it's going to be ever evolving. And if we're doing everything right and being professionals ourselves, it's supposed to be ever evolving.
And I think that is unique to what we're doing compared to what maybe a lot of other folks are doing. Not to take away that from what they're putting in, and that they have good programming, just that we're planning to evolve it, because we know that things will evolve. Mm-hmm. And we understand, like, there's things that we might not know, and that being specific to the clientele, and the people that are involved in this program. They're going to give us feedback. Yep. We're going to learn. Like, it's not like a research project, but there's going to be a lot of data going into this, and we're going to have a lot of communication with those that are in the program. Mm-hmm. So we're going to learn from them on how to make this better, because again, I do think it is novel in that sense, which I think is important. Like, just being upfront and transparent about it. Like, while the framework is there and we know we have a solid framework, we also know that we are going to learn a lot as we're working within there, and we will change this.
God forbid any of us ever say, I know it all.
Yeah, shit.
It's never going to happen. One of the companies that I program for in CrossFit, like, anytime someone cancels, the first thing I ask is like, what can I do for the program? Not to keep you here. Right. You're exiting. I get that. Totally fine. What can I do to make this a better situation for the people who are on here? And now I'll get, some advice that's terrible, but I'll get some advice that's good, that I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Because it's hard when you're when you are the person making it, that you're not in it all the time, and it's hard to see it for something because you see it so much. It's like, like if you have a kid and you see them every day, it's hard to see the growth pattern. But if you see the kid every couple of months, which is kind of weird, you'd see, oh, they got taller. So it's like, I need to step back and ask other people's opinions and say, okay, you're right. I could change that. That could make it better for somebody.
Yeah, which I think is a little bit novel, just kind of in the industry and but more specifically the genre we're talking about, because I don't think they get asked that a lot. Like, how can we be better at this? They're usually being told what to do.
And sit down, shut up, do what I say.
Yeah, and we've done it this way for so long. This is how we're going to continue to do it. Just do it this way. And if we wanted to make a change, it takes like an act of Congress to change anything.
Yep.
So this is very much different than that. It's like we have the ability to change it next week if we feel like that's a necessary change. Not that we intend on doing it that way. This is very well thought out already. So, what you get, on day one has been thought out 2 months prior.
Yeah.
But at the same, when you're jumping into the program, but bottom line there is this is very flexible because it should be. Mm-hmm. And it should be able to be flexed to the needs of the population that's doing it, but also catering to the upper percentage of people that are jumping into it that are performers. Yep. Hence the performance program. So if you're jumping into this and you took the assessment and you were really lacking in capacity and you jump into this program, it's not that you're not going to get benefit from that, but you're also not going to likely be performing at the same level your peers are performing at.
You're not going to get the full benefit because your recovery could be lower. You could not be strong enough or so.
And so that, to Jacob's point, it's like, hey, how can we make this better for you? Like, we try to do that at the beginning. Yeah. Maybe what you need, if this isn't working for you, maybe what you need is the strength program for a little while, the capacity program for a while. Just jump out, do that, and come back.
Yeah. I love how we're doing this because I think from the very beginning when all of us sat down, I said, I don't want to do the same thing everyone else is doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Hence why we are defining our target market as our person we're going after as an athlete. They are defined as an athlete, which is different than what you see in this space, right? And we're going after it differently than anyone else because we're saying, I'm not giving you a one-size-fits-all solution.
Yep.
I'm giving you, I don't know where you're at. I'm meeting you where you're at. I'm helping you where you're at. And then I'm hopefully getting everyone on the same page in the long run, but I'm not making the assumption that we're all on the same capabilities because we're not. Honestly, there's 3 of us here and we are all different. Because I guarantee he's better at speed and power than me. I'm better at capacity. You're better at strength.
Yeah, and the most important part about that for me, and I share those sentiments. One of the things I really wanted to do coming into this was make sure people understood why they're doing what they're doing. Because going back to they're being told what to do, or they're just buying a template or something and they don't understand, it's like the education piece. So my hope is like, if they don't understand it, they'll stick with us long enough because we're going to explain it to you.
Yeah.
And
sooner or you're going to ask, and I'm going to make a video on it.
And we've probably already done a video or a podcast or something on this. So there is rationale behind all this, and we'll be able to give you an explanation. And as things come up, we will continue to educate. We'll stay on top of our game as we have.
They'll be able to communicate with me.
But they'll be able to communicate directly. Like, here's what's going on.
Aaron's cell phone number.
Yeah, more or less.
Ooh, maybe not that. Brittany wouldn't be too happy.
There'll be direct communication for people inside that performance program. Yep. So like, hey, I'm not sure about this. No problem. Here's what you can do. If you needed a modification, we could talk about that. Yep. It makes it a little bit more personalized, but it also makes it more real time, which I think is what people need. Because it's not a one size fits all. This is not a cookie cutter program, but it does speak very specifically to a population. We talked about this in our very first podcast, in understanding all the other things too. Spent a long time trying to understand you're not the same. There is no off season. The stress levels are different. Like, you are managing wacky shifts all the time. Like, there are challenges in this that most athletes may not face. There's no deployment, so you're not gone for 6 months, then coming back for 6, able to recover and kind of regroup.
There's no opportunity to ramp up and overtrain.
Yeah, so we've trying to leave like room in the margins to make adjustments, but also very little room in the margins for you to fail. Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah. Anything else you guys want to say about this performance program, performance track?
If we're summing it up into one piece, it's performance. We're building performance on demand by training smarter.
Yeah, I love it.
I keep up with Train Smarter. He's just stealing it from me. I'm just kidding. I love it.
Go check out IEP Performance Track.